Several years ago, a photographer friend of mine invited me to help him lead a field photography workshop in the Palouse. My first question was, what's the Palouse? I had no idea what this place was. It turns out it's farm country in eastern Washington state in the northwest of the United States, and it sounded like an interesting opportunity, and so I accepted. My assumption was that I would go out there, I would photograph this farm country, and I would probably never go back. It turns out I was very wrong, and every year since I've returned to the Palouse in order to photograph this really remarkable and beautiful place. Part of what makes the Palouse country so interesting is that it's farmland, but not farmland in the way we tend to envision farmland. If I ask you to picture a wheat field, you'll probably picture a flat field, flat as far as the eye can see, filled with wheat. In the Palouse, that farm country is rolling hills, very rolling hills. You can see the hills used to be grassland, such as what you see in the foreground here in this photo, but now much of it is being farmed, and you can see the rolling hills in the background that are largely wheat and lentil fields. Those hills can be rather steep, in fact, so steep that they have to use crop dusting aircraft to spray many of the fields. Of course, where there's farms, there's going to be barns, and one of the wonderful things about the Palouse is that there are many old barns. These old, aging barns show their age. They really are becoming weathered, and unfortunately, many of them are disappearing. This barn, for example, a couple years after my first visit, was collapsed to the ground and eventually all but disappeared. Of course, that weathered look in the Palouse is part of the appeal. It harkens back to an older time, and it's just a remarkable place to visit and photograph. And of course, the classic scene is always a red barn nestled in the wheat fields, perhaps surrounded by horses. It was in this context that I visited the Palouse for the first time and captured what has become one of my favorite images. And of course, I was hooked. I've returned every year since to the Palouse and look forward to future visits as well. The landscape is certainly changing. Many of the barns are disappearing, but the charm is still there, and it really is a remarkable place, a wonderful place to point your lens. It was in this context that I had the opportunity to photograph an old abandoned farmhouse that will become the focus of this photo project.